American ginseng is among the most well-known of our native plants, but the ginseng family is large and varied. And to it belongs one of the strangest and most distinctive of our native shrubs, the devil's walking stick, Aralia spinosa, that gets its ominous name from the impressive thorns that encircle its trunk. Despite the name, devil's walking stick is loved by pollinators and wildlife for various reasons that we will cover in a bit, along with some super cool facts about this amazing shrub. But first, let's look at where it grows and how to identify it. Devil's walking stick can be found growing in the wild, mainly south of the line, from southeast Missouri, eastward through southern Indiana and Illinois, up through mid-Ohio and north to New York. It is a pioneer species and thrives in places that have been disturbed by fire, logging operations, tornadoes or strong storms, even brush hogging. Anything that opens the canopy and allows sunlight to hit the ground will encourage devil's walking stick to grow there. It is generally not a large shrub and averages 10 to 15 feet tall, although occasional stems may reach 35 feet in height, with a 6 to 10 foot spread. The trunk usually maxes out at around 6 inches in diameter, with exceptionally tall stems getting to 1 foot in diameter. The growth form is quite interesting. Devil's walking stick generally grows as a non-branching straight trunk. Those stems that do branch will do so near the top of the trunk, and the branches are fairly short and stout. A very odd but super cool growth form for a shrub. Its root system produces many fleshy rhizomes, and devil's walking stick can quickly form a thicket of spine-covered stems that can provide cover for wildlife. This tendency to sucker also makes it easy to propagate through root division. Due to its small size, devil's walking stick is not a commercially important timber species, but its soft, somewhat brittle wood is easy to carve and is sometimes used to make rustic walking sticks. Like most pioneer species, devil's walking stick thrives in full sun, but can also grow in part shade. It will die back if it is fully shaded out. This is why it is seen growing along the wood's edge or in openings where trees have come down in forested areas, and tends to fade out as you move from the edge into the trees. It prefers medium moist, well-drained, fertile humus-rich loams, but will tolerate a wide range of soil, including rocky and heavy clay soil. Once established, devil's walking stick is a tough shrub and is drought tolerant and can even handle occasionally wet soil. If you love to learn about our native shrubs, especially those that are a bit unusual like the devil's walking stick, then be sure to pollinate that like button. Devil's walking stick has some big leaves. In fact, they are huge and are considered the largest leaves of any native North American temperate species. The leaves are mostly bipinnately compound. Basically, this means it has a pinnately compound leaf, but instead of leaflets, it has what looks like other pinnately compound leaves, or secondary rachises with leaflets, and can even be tripinnately compound, where the leaflets are replaced with a trifoliate leaflet structure. Think of a clover or poison ivy leaf. When I said these leaves are huge, I wasn't exaggerating. They can be from 2 to 5 feet long and 2 to 4 feet wide. The petiole or leaf stem is stout and up to 1.5 feet long and may have spines along it, as may the rachis, the stem that runs from the first bipinnate branching to the tip of the leaf. Individual leaflets are 2 to 4 inches long and 1.5 to 3 inches wide, are ovate in shape, which is plant nerd for they are egg-shaped, with a somewhat pointed tip. The upper leaflet surface is medium to dark green and smooth. The lower leaflet surface is a contrasting pale green to nearly white and is smooth to slightly hairy. The leaflets have short, quarter-inch long stems, and the leaflet veins are distinctive as they bend and run along but don't touch the leaf margin or edge, which is finely toothed. There are 5 to 13 leaflets on each secondary rachis. Leaves emerge mostly at the tip of the trunk and branches. The arrangement of the leaves on the woody parts of the plant is alternate. Fall color is mainly yellow, but can be variable, and reds and purples occur on some shrubs. While the leaves are huge, there aren't a ton of insects that eat them, and only around 8 species of generalist caterpillar species have been recorded feeding on devil's walking stick, along with certain species of blister beetles. Its blooms are more beneficial to insects, which we will get to in a bit. White-tailed deer do browse on young leaves, but devil's walking stick is quite tolerant of browsing by deer. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that devil's walking stick is in the ginseng family, the Araliaceae. This is a large family with around 2,000 species worldwide that are quite varied and includes the native plant famous for its medicinal roots, American ginseng, Panax quinquefolius, the invasive English ivy, Hedera helix, and of course devil's walking stick and other members of the genus Aralia. There are 3 other species of Aralia native to eastern North America, 2 of which are herbaceous plants, and 1 is a very small shrub that you may come across while out exploring. Wild sarsaparilla, Aralia nudicalis, which is mainly found in the Appalachians and the northern 1/3 of the US and into Canada. Bristly sarsaparilla, Aralia hispida, which is primarily found in the Northeast and Great Lakes states. And Spikenard, Aralia racemosa, which is found throughout eastern North America except for the Gulf Coast and southern Atlantic coast. Devil's walking stick has a name that is quite memorable, which brings up a question. What is your favorite native plant name? Let us know in the comments, and if you don't have a favorite native plant name, then drop some tree emojis in the comments to help this video get shown to more people. I really do appreciate it. My personal favorite native plant name, and one of my favorite native plants, is the incredible Rattlesnake Master. It just sounds like a cool NPC in a TTRPG. The bark of Devil's walking stick is gray to brown, mostly smooth, with scattered lenticels, those wart-like growths on tree bark, and the stem is encircled with stout, obvious spines, which are a defining characteristic of this plant. The bark becomes furrowed and rougher with age. Leaf scars are large and shaped like a flattened U and can nearly encircle the stem. If there are any lateral branches, they have the same bark, spine, and leaf characteristics as the main trunk. New growth and young shoots are bright green. If you hadn't noticed, Devil's walking stick is a bit over the top. It has huge leaves and is covered with impressive spines, and when it flowers, it does that in a big way too. The individual flowers are tiny, only around 1/4 inch in diameter, are off-white, have 5 triangular petals, are extremely fragrant, and form in huge inflorescences or flower clusters that can be from 1.5 to 4 feet long and 1 to 3 feet wide. The inflorescences form at the tip of the trunk or at the ends of any lateral branches, and there can be from 1 to 3 inflorescences at each trunk or branch tip. A Devil's walking stick in full bloom is quite eye-catching to say the least. This incredible floral display can be seen from June to September depending on location. The inflorescence the flowers form in is a compound panicle made up of umbellets. An umbellet is a small, secondary cluster of flowers that make up a larger inflorescence that are 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch across and rounded, have green stems, and consist of 12 to 20 flowers. Flowers within these panicles may be perfect, meaning they have both male and female structures, or there may be a mix of perfect and unisexual flowers. Those huge flower clusters in late summer make Devil's walking stick an absolute pollinator magnet. It is attractive to just about every type of pollinator: butterflies, honeybees, native bees, moths, beetles, wasps, ants, and flies all swarm to the fragrant, showy flowers. You often hear the buzz of pollinators on the blooms before you can see them. Devil's walking stick tends to bloom at a time during the summer when flower resources are scarce, and its huge panicles of sweet-smelling blooms provide both nectar and pollen to hungry pollinators. It is by far one of the best late summer pollinator plants within its native range. Its value to pollinators is one reason Devil's walking stick is planted in some gardens and larger habitat improvement projects. It is a super easy to grow, tough, adaptable shrub that provides a ton of floral resources to native pollinators per growing stem. I know some of you are thinking, I need to get me some Devil's walking stick. It will fill a huge floral gap in my pollinator garden. And yes, it would likely do that, but remember back towards the beginning of the video where I said it spreads from root suckers. This is not a plant for small spaces or gardens unless you are committed to keeping it in check. The root suckers are easy to keep cut back with a mower, but Devil's walking stick is one of those plants that the more you cut it, the more it tends to sprout, so you really have to stay on top of the root suckers. If you intend to plant it in a smaller space, you must think about how you will contain its root suckering capability. Personally, I think it is a shrub best suited to larger, wilder areas. But if you have a lot of experience with aggressive plants in garden situations, then it is well worth the effort. Do you dream of having a beautiful backyard full of all kinds of birds, butterflies, bees, fireflies, and all kinds of other cool critters, but you aren't quite sure how to make that dream come true? Do you know that native plants are important, but have questions about how to grow them or even which ones you should grow? Would you like to bounce ideas off Shannon and I? Ask us questions and just geek out about nature with us? If so, then I invite you to join us in the Backyard Ecology community. This is an online membership experience where you get direct access to Shannon and I, as well as the other community members from all across the eastern US who are trying to do similar things in their yards. We have 2 virtual meetings every month where you can get detailed answers to your questions, celebrate your wins, and just geek out about native plants, pollinators, and wildlife. We also have a private online discussion space where we can continue those conversations and provide additional support between meetings. Which means if you've been wondering something like, I wonder if right now is a good time to dig that plant up and move it, then all you have to do is post a question and we'll be able to tell you, yeah, this is the perfect time to do that. Or, no, if you can wait, you'd be better off to wait. Or if you can't wait, here's what you do so that you give the plant the best chance of surviving. I'll provide a link in the description if you want to learn more, and hopefully you will come join us. The other reason Devil's Walking Stick is often planted, beyond its general weirdness, is for its awesome fruiting display. The flowers give way to small, round, quarter-inch diameter, slightly ribbed fruits that start out bright green and ripen deep purple or black from July to October, depending on location. The clusters of 12 to 20 dark fruits that form in the umbellets contrast with the bright red stems and are super impressive looking in the large panicles they form in. The fruiting display is just as awesome as the floral display. Each fruit has a thin layer of pulp and contains 2 to 5 flattened seeds. Although the ripe fruits are technically edible, the lack of pulp and bland taste usually means they are left for the birds and other critters. The fruiting display doesn't last long as birds tend to descend on them once ripe. The fruits are eaten by a wide variety of songbirds, including the awesome cedar waxwing, white-throated sparrows, the wood thrush, and in the past, the now extinct passenger pigeon, which is the source of another common name for Devil's Walking Stick, the pigeonberry. They are also eaten by mammals such as black bears, red foxes, striped skunks, and eastern chipmunks. Birds and mammals are the main way the seeds are dispersed away from the parent plants. In the past, Devil's Walking Stick was used to treat a variety of ailments, but all parts of the plant except for the ripe berries are mildly toxic and can cause intense stomach upset and vomiting, which is why one of the main things it was used for was as an emetic. It can also cause reactions in some people from handling the stems, leaves, roots, or unripe berries in the form of a short-duration contact dermatitis. There is an invasive species of Aralia that is becoming a problem in some parts of eastern North America that unfortunately looks a lot like Devil's Walking Stick, and that is the Japanese Angelica tree, Aralia elata, which is mainly a problem in the Northeast and Great Lakes states, but it is spreading. There are a couple of ways to tell these two shrubs apart. The leaflet veins of Devil's Walking Stick do not reach the leaflet edge. The leaflet veins of Japanese Angelica tree run all the way to the leaflet edge. Also, the inflorescence of Devil's Walking Stick has an obvious central stalk and stands high above the leaves. Japanese Angelica tree inflorescences lack the central stalk and are shorter and flatter and often obscured by the leaves. The Devil's Walking Stick is an odd but super impressive native shrub and one of my personal favorites. It just looks super cool, no matter what season of the year it is. And it provides late summer nectar and pollen for our native pollinators, and the fruit it produces feeds a ton of bird and mammal species. While not the best choice for smaller spaces, unless you're willing to manage it, it does have its place. If you are looking for a thicket-forming shrub that isn't prickly and provides for a wide range of pollinators and also feeds wildlife, one of our native thicket-forming dogwoods may be the right choice for you. And you can learn about them in this video, and be sure to take some time and enjoy nature in your backyard.